thing right now.
Hiding behind the logo.
Well, Toby's here, but we never see his face ever.
Actually, Toby is an AI construct.
I've talked to Toby. He's an Eagles fan. He's not a Cubs.
Oh, he's really good. We programmed him that way.
Oh, you did? Okay.
He and Joseph are brothers. Joseph, we talked about a couple weeks ago. So, yep.
I think Dave Quinn is an Eagles fan there too.
There's a lot of Eagles fans that are out there now since the Super Bowl.
Dude, all I can say is I've never seen an offensive line and defensive line dominate so thoroughly.
In a game like that, you bet.
I'm going to say congratulations to the Eagles fans. I was a Redskins fan, and I stayed so quiet for the last several years that now everyone thinks I'm lying when I say that I'm a Washington fan. They're like, no, you're not. Of course I didn't talk about football until this year. I was embarrassing until this year.
Well, we won't go there, but I named the Dolphins. So I'll tell you that story some other time. Tim's
kind of like a Jets fan there.
All right, Alyssa, it's 3 minutes after. Let's get the show on the road.
O'Connor, Jim.
O'Connor,
Connor,
Jets
fan. All right, recording now.
Thank you, Connor. Welcome to our tenacious agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, February 20th, 2025. And this is All the Leads Mastermind Podcast number 516. Tim, I've got nothing to start with today. I'll throw it over to you, sir.
Me? Little old me?
Yeah.
All right.
I know Wild Bill's got a story, so one of you.
He does, but I just wanted to say one thing that, we've talked before about AI on here pretty frequently, and there've been a couple of interesting developments in the AI world. X or Twitter, formerly Twitter, now known as X, has introduced a tool called Grok 3, Grok 3. If you haven't tried it yet, you want to look at it, pretty cool. I spent a little bit of time with it over the last day or so. I was in an early beta group and worked on it a little bit, and then it's been released to the public now, and it seems incredibly competent. I like everything that you get with AI. The one thing I would urge you to do is to not accept anything that you get out of it as absolute fact. Do some additional research, be smart. Don't go jump off a bridge because it tells you there's no, there's a landing pad at the bottom and everything will be good. But it's a really cool tool.
Hey, Tim, did you see the release about the Microsoft chip a couple hours ago?
About what?
Microsoft unveiled a new chip that contains a new state of matter. It's not solid, liquid, or gaseous. It's a new form of matter. It sounds like science fiction, but it's for real. It's not fake news. Huh? No, it really isn't.
I did not, no.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. They say it instantly and errorlessly conducts information. So yeah, it eventually we're gonna, our grandkids are saying, man, you had to get out of bed and work to earn money. I mean, what's going on here? It's gonna all be done for you.
I'm thinking that maybe by the end of next week we can stop.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. It's called Grok 3. So if you're already on X, you can easily get access to it. Just type in Grok and it will take you there and you can go look at it. And it's always interesting to, take a look at that, take a look at Gemini, take a look at, obviously, ChatGPT is out there and it's been out there for a long time. It's crazy that we're saying, the old ChatGPT and all that. I mean, it's still the kind of the gold standard by which everything sort of gets judged, but this Grok tool is pretty cool. So anyway, that's all I was going to say about that. Mr. Bill, we kind of, before we opened the call up, we were talking a little bit, and you had mentioned that you'd had an early success with some people with divorce, and I would like to hear about that. You're muted, Bubba.
So I got this. I got a listing yesterday from a divorced couple. It's not going on the market till August. But I was interested in the process, and they had been getting my letters. But the one thing I really noticed was they were active on HomeBot, and they requested a CMA. So I gave them my binder. They called me, and then yesterday they interviewed me and they signed the listing agreement. What I'm kind of noticing, because we have been doing this long, is it seems like the 90-day to 120 days, things seem to get motivated, more active. I don't know if it's the court. I don't know if it's they're like, all right, we might as well get this thing going, or the lawyers. But it just seems to be that's the kind of time frame. And the big thing I gotta say about California and divorce that I have learned, and I've only got 3 listings out of the deal, is soft is much better. I believe it was Jessica came out with a video, and being real soft and gentle and not bringing up the divorce in the beginning is the way to go, but continue to market them a little more aggressively than you would do your normal lead.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. I mean, we were
So
talking
just-
also before we started, we were just kind of talking about what, where the noise factor is the lowest in regard to marketing. And obviously with all the upheaval with TCPA and calls going out, not going out, everybody trying to be really careful about not running afoul of TCPA laws and all that. Mail obviously is something that you can always do. And, what is least filling up people's mailboxes when they have a life-changing event? And divorce is probably low on that list. Probate, they're definitely, there's competition there in the divorce arena. Typically with what we do with it, probably not so much, or not as much. Shane, I'll answer that in a second. Anyway, so that's kind of the value of divorce, is that it will be less competitive, and we give you great information to deal with there. And we give you all the info on both of the both the parties of the divorce. So you got to remember that not only it can be a gold mine, because we at one point sat here and kind of came up with at least 4 opportunities for a sale, a listing, a rental, a bunch of other things that can come out of that. And that's just the relocation part of it for one or other of the parties. If the house has to be sold, house is going to get sold. Both parties have to move. Both parties might want to buy, somebody might want to rent. If you're managing properties, you've got that to deal with as well. So a lot of opportunity there to deal with.
Hey, Bill, you mentioned you're not mentioning the divorce. What are you sending to them, and how are you opening the conversation if you don't mention the divorce?
So I just do the soft shoe. I say that I have clients that are looking in whatever area, Cotati area, Sonoma area, whatever. And I just ask a very direct question. Are you considering selling? Is it I just go right in there. But I do it, I start with my voice high and I bring it down, right? And it definitely makes them think. I mean, it's not like probate, right? Hi, my name's Bill Bird. I understand you might inherit a house. Click, screw, it's definitely way more of an appeal. And then what I send them is I send them market stats. I'll send them a CMA. If they opted into home box, I send that to them right away. Then I don't send them the CMA. I bring up, the steps of selling a home. I also say everything I do, which is basically my probate, everything I'll do for your home. And then I send them my bio. I'm looking for that 5th piece or the brochure. I'm working on some of my stuff. I've taken some of all the lead stuff, and I'm going to combine it. And I'm hoping to come up with a low-key brochure that doesn't insult anybody. And let's face it, most Californians get insulted pretty easily. So you got to be, kind of soft, but I also think it's persistence, right? So I also think, unlike, I think what really appeals about people that don't live in California about our service is when their parents died, they can take what they want or they can tell us what they want. We make arrangements to ship it to them and then we take care of everything else or whatever. I think that appeals to them too, that I'll take care of the termite, the home inspection, painting, fixing, staging. I'll do it all for them because now the one I took yesterday, they totally get along, right? They just agree it's time to go. But they do like each other. So but I just think that's a service that getting divorced, especially if it's messy, they really like that, or they like that they both can move on with their lives. And that's what's good. The other thing I've really noticed is they don't really want to use the old real estate agent that they bought the house with, because that's come up once or twice.
Interesting.
Yeah, Bill, when you were talking, I just remembered that when we had the lady who has the Society of Divorce Professionals, one thing that she mentioned that I thought was really smart is she said, you are kind of counseling not just the couple, but the whole family. You know, find out if they have school-age kids and send them information on other properties available in that same school district, because that really makes it less traumatic for them to relocate. I mean, just little things like that we could add to what we're providing to probate. That'd be a good thing to put in your brochure. And we'd love to see that when you're done with it. I know you'll share it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And the letters, I'll send them. But you know, the one thing I want to say, because the first divorce that I did, which closed in December, right? I am looking, so I sold their house for 1.7. This is California. So the husband is looking for 1.2 and the wife is looking for 2 million. And they're both using me, which is just blew my mind. I thought I might get one of the two, but to get both of them, what an opportunity.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome, bud. Hey, Shane had asked, Shane, you said you asked about DCPA. It's actually TCPA, and it is the law, in fact, that it's the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. And what it's designed to do is to minimize the, constant barrage that we all get of everybody asking you for money and filling up your inbox with garbage and all that sort of stuff on your phone. It is a telephone or telephony law. We typically have the latest version of it on our website. We make it available to our folks and try to keep it up to date, but it's always available in the federal government. Just go look at TCPA and you'll find all the information that you need about it and what the fines are and all that sort of stuff. And it basically says, honor the do not call list. Don't use pre-recorded voices that you just dump, ringless voicemails, all the stuff that's out there. And, we've talked a good bit about that as we've gone through here over time. So, kind of that kind of stuff. Steve, go ahead, bud.
Yes, so Tim, the other thing you should check, not only the federal, but also check your state laws, because as you're calling, I'll give you an example here in Pennsylvania on a federal holiday, I'm not allowed to dial. That's just what it says. Okay. Same thing on a Sunday. I can do it on a Saturday from certain hours, but know what your state laws are. That way it'll keep you out of any potential hot water. I mean, we can make the observation that we're not selling anything, we're offering a service, but you just don't know. If you want to steer clear, that's where I am, is I want to steer clear of anybody trying to make some accusation. If I'm not doing it on the days when I know the state law says that, then I'm good. I don't have to worry about it.
Cool. That's great info. And I always forget about that, different states have different rules for sure. And I'm surprised California doesn't have one. I don't think they do. I think they just use the TCPA, but like you said, they get offended easily.
Eileen in New Jersey, Eileen can call on my home state, my former home state. She can call on a Sunday, no problem. Can't do it in Pennsylvania.
Right. You just can't pump your own gas in New Jersey, right?
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
You can now?
No, the unions still have that. No, you can't.
No, they do. They pump it for you, but you can come out and your own gas.
It depends on the station.
Believe me, I never go out. If they're going to do it, I'm like, very, very nice. Go ahead. Thank you so
The one
much.
who watches the people in New
Don't
Jersey
wanna
come to
stop you.
Pennsylvania and they wait in the car thinking someone's coming out to put the nozzle in, and they don't.
And I remember that when I lived in Jersey for a little bit, and the first time I got out of my car to go put the gas in, the guy came in, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What? Oh, I have to do that for you." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's the law." And I'm like, "Okay." Hey, anyway,
Wonderful.
at the bottom of your, we should have said this in the beginning, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there is a heart, at least on mine. It's the react button. You saw that when excuse me, Steve was talking, he raised his hand, and that's the way you get recognized here. Those of you that are new to this, click on that react button, and it will allow you to raise your hand, and you can raise your hand. You'll be acknowledged, and we'll be glad to talk to you. This call is for you. You know, we say this every time. This call is about you. We try to take it in the directions that you want, and we want to talk about the things that you want to talk about. So please raise your hand and talk, and we'll be glad to talk with you about anything that you would like to talk about. And Roger Lisi, I know I owe you a call, and I will do that after this. Okay, I see you nodding your head. That's good. Anyway, so that's what's cooking there. Mr. Hill, how are you, sir?
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Hopefully my sound is, let me make sure my audio is working. I was talking to you guys a little bit ago and everybody was ignoring me and I had my microphone off. So I was offended for a quick minute. And then I realized it was my fault.
I know that.
Got over
very easily offended.
Yeah. Really good. Really good. Been in meetings this morning, kind of reviewing just before we got on this call, reviewing the pipeline, and I'm excited to say that I've got 152 people in my pipeline out of probate leads that have come in since September. Since September, 152 people in the pipeline. Appointments are starting to roll in, and I do want everyone to know that from end of September, when I got this kind of original batch of leads, and I want everyone to know I've been getting leads and kind of working on them for years and years and years. But in September, we started putting a new style of effort into the leads. And so that's why I started tracking specifically from September, working on building a pipeline. Essentially, what we're doing is we're just identifying who we believe, based on a conversation, is going to sell a house. That's it. Did they say, I'm going to sell a house? In some cases, yes. And in other cases, no. But I believe, based on the conversation, that they're going to sell a house and I have permission to market. And that's the pipeline. So 152 people over the latter part of last year. It was a trickle of appointments. We'd have to finagle our way into some of the appointments. No, I'm not really ready yet, but yes, you can send me a value. And then I'd go, okay, well, give me a couple of days to put that together for you. It's not going to be official, but it'll give you an idea. By the way, I don't imagine you're going to be around the house next weekend, are you? I could stop by for 10 minutes. So that's kind of the way of finagling in the door with someone that isn't quite ready, isn't thinking about selling today. So we got a trickle through the end of the year, and then in January things turned on. Partner of mine has been in 4 appointments this week, 6 appointments last week, 4 appointments the week before, 5 appointments the week before that. We're still in early. A lot of times we're still kind of pushing into appointments before people are ready. That's I was doing a coaching call with someone yesterday, and that's one of the big issues that they're running into is they're filling their pipeline up the same way I am. They're not getting a lot of deals out of it because they're kind of waiting until the person says, hey, I'm ready to sell now. If I can help it, I don't wait for the I'm ready to sell now. I'm finding a way to lean on them and get the appointment early before they're thinking about selling, because it's my belief that the person that gets face to face first is generally going to win the business. So of those appointments that I just described to you, how many of those people are ready to sell right now? 2 or 3. So it's close to 20 appointments in the last month, 5 weeks. Only 2 or 3 are ready to sell, but I'm getting the appointments and we're building credibility and rapport. So I want everyone here that's kind of looking for 2 or 3 deals a year, 5 or 6 deals a year, to know that it's quite possible that you're severely undercutting yourself. I also want everyone to know that if you're looking for a deal in the first month or at the first appointment, you might be slightly overestimating the average lead. The average lead. Not everybody. Some people have to go really fast. Depends on their situation. But the average lead, they've got a house that's free and clear. They have other things on their plate. They're not ready to jump to sell a house that isn't costing them money right away. But they will sell. And if you can build a pipeline, you'll get the business.
So,
Hey, Bruce, you go ahead, Tim. I wanted to comment also. Go ahead, Tim. You go first.
Jim.
I think what you said there was so key. I think what you mentioned is the key ingredient between success and failure. I've been talking to a lot of our agents, and yeah, we do have people that get listings their first month, but that's rare. I had a guy I spoke to. I think he was in Tennessee. But anyway, he canceled, and I just really nicely called and had a conversation. He said, "Yeah, I've been doing this for 4 going on 5 months, and I don't have a deal yet." And I said, "Do me a favor, listen to the call last week with Travis Wade." He listened to it, and he called me back and said, "So you're saying I didn't stick with it long enough?" I said, "That's exactly what I'm saying. Look at Travis. He's been with us for 5 years, and he said he's consistently doing 3 to 5 multi-million-dollar deals a month, but he said his average conversion is 8 months."
Yeah.
So I think besides just not doing anything at all, the biggest mistake I see our subscribers make is giving up too soon and not realizing that it's a process and conversion doesn't happen overnight. One other thing you're doing too is you're identifying not who says they're going to sell, but who you believe is going to sell based on the conversation, which is so key. If you just took 100 leads, maybe 2 of them are going to admit, "Yeah, I'm going to sell and list with you." But there's probably 30 or 40 of them that if you listen and ask the right questions, they're going to be good. They're going to be good long-term customers. So that was so important. I just wanted to reiterate it. And we see it again and again with our customers.
I would go to the conversation you just mentioned where it wasn't I didn't stick with it long enough. That's potentially the second problem. I don't think that's the primary problem with the folks that don't see success in probate. I think the primary problem is they are looking for a yes, I'm going to sell the house. And they don't fill their pipeline up with the people that are going to sell the house, but aren't willing to tell a stranger that they're going to sell a house. I learned this many, many years ago, not with probate leads, but with open houses. I was doing open houses and I'd stick a sign-in sheet in their face, and that sign-in sheet would say name, email, phone number, do you have an agent? And 80% said, yes, I have an agent. And it was giving me these false negatives, these people that I thought weren't open to working with me because they would just check, I have an agent. Who doesn't know an agent? Who doesn't? So I quit putting that sign-in sheet in front of their face. And after the second or third short interaction in an open house, I'd say, hey, how does this house compare to the others you've been out looking at? And I'd give them the assumption that they've been out into dozens of houses. And 8 out of 10 people would say, oh, I haven't been out looking at any other houses yet. And now I don't have to ask, do you have an agent? I know. You haven't. This is the first house you've been in. Have you signed with an agent? Probably not. Probably not. I'm not saying no. I'm saying probably not, based on the fact that you, without knowing, you basically told me you don't have an agent yet. And that's what I do with every other lead type, including probate, is I'm looking for their answer without them knowing that they give me an answer. Because if you push the answer, they're going to find a way to squirm out of it. Hey, do you want to sell the house? No, probably not. We're going to keep the house. I've heard that hundreds of times. And then 2 months later, I look and the house is on the market or the house is sold. And I used to get mad. Then I started getting mad at myself. Like, there's got to be a way that I could have found that out if I'd asked a better question. So I don't even say, are you going to keep the house or sell the house? Because they're just going to lie to me and say, I'm going to keep the house, especially if they don't like me. Okay, so I find a way to make sure that they're able to tell me what's going on without knowing that they've told me what's going on.
It's
So
kind of
build your pipeline, folks. If all you have is 5 people in your pipeline and you're 8 months in, the first problem is you don't have a pipeline. If you have 40 people in your pipeline and you're 8 months in and you don't have a deal, then it's the fact that you just haven't really stuck with it long enough. You haven't stayed with them long enough. But you have to solve the first problem first.
interesting.
Get a pipeline.
Kind of the real estate version of the old, what do they call it? The shopper's lament. How many times have you gone into a store and someone comes up and says, "Can I help you?" You say, "No, thanks, just looking." I mean, it's what everybody says, and it's not that they don't like you or anything else. It's like, oh, leave me alone. I'll come see you when I want. My wife at one point wanted to start an organization called Solo Shopper, and you literally put a pin on your lapel that says Solo Shopper, and the whole point would be that you'd be left alone in a store until you asked, which I thought was very interesting. I want to kind of segue back to something that both Bruce and Bill said, and Aline has said it a bunch of times. Same with Steve. All our coaches, everybody that does this, their success is because they have a process, and it's the most important thing that I would hope that some of you would take away from this is that if you have a process that you work and you're going to take to heart the fact that, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's going to fall right off of a tree and, it'll be great. And you're going to get, an instant listing or an instant opportunity to purchase property. It does happen. If it's a death in the family and the person that passed away is the breadwinner in the family, or there's a medical emergency or any of the other things that will cause people to need money quickly, well, that's an opportunity you need to take advantage of quickly and help them out by, either getting it on the market quickly and marketing it quickly at a effective price in the market so it'll sell, put money in their pocket, or buy it and make a good cash offer and, get the property quickly. But for the most part, Matt Milia, who's not on the call today, always talks about kind of develop this process called nurturing. And, they're nurturing them on the phone, and everything that you need to be doing needs to be nurturing them in your pipeline. But you've got to have a process. If it's something that you don't do and don't repeat and do it over and over and over again, it's not going to happen because you're going to forget parts of it. You're going to get lazy and you won't do it. It's just human nature. It happens. You've got to get this down to a repeatable, organized process. List the steps in your process. Know what you're doing. And I think that's the key. You've got to really have it wrapped in. Bill, talked about all of the things that he does and the things he puts together to put in people's hands and when he does that. And I challenge you to, share with us, if you've got a process that you think works for you, tell us what you guys are doing out there. What are the steps in your process that you find energize your opportunities best? Is it a particular time that it happens, a particular phone call that you make, a mail piece that you send out that, 3 weeks in, I send this out and this happens. It's that sort of thing where you've got to be looking at it really closely, and you've got time to do it. It doesn't have to happen overnight, and you don't have to have it all together to get started. But as you do it, be scientific about it. Make notes, keep track, do the things you got to go do. You're spending money to do it, and you're spending something far more important. That's your time. Don't waste your time doing something you're not tracking, because you're a human being. You've got lots of things to distract you. Have the discipline to put it on paper, or put it into a computer and follow it, religiously. Aline, what do you think about that? Would you tend to agree?
100%. Absolutely. So as you're talking, Tim, I'm nodding my head internally and thinking it is so crucial to have a process. that of the calls and the follow-up, which I know we've all said many, many times. And I literally had a call with one of the subscribers, and we were talking, and they were asking about the different forms of leads that we have. And I said, regardless of whichever one you choose, it's the system that you put in. So it's not the leads, it's how you work the leads. If you're calling, following up, following up, that's what's going to get the business eventually, right? Time on task. And so whether you're calling pre-probate, probate, divorce, it's having that system and that consistency of following up. And the other thing I just want to throw in there too is that oftentimes getting tripped up on a script, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What is it going to sound like? Is really just, you know, of course you have to have some sort of baseline. You're not just going to wing it every single phone call, but having that baseline and then just picking up the phone and connecting with the person on the other line. You don't have to sound perfect. Actually, oftentimes when you sound more authentic and kind of, I want to say almost innocent, people really connect and relate to you much more than this very polished business person type on the other line.
Yep, for sure. Steve?
So the other day, much tying into what Eileen just said, and I agree with her completely, I came across a quote from Jim Rohn, the personal development coach who coached Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy. And in there, he says that you don't rise to the level of your goals or ambitions, but you fall to the level of your systems. And what he ties into that is you take away the choices. And I think that's what Eileen was saying. Look, if this is what I'm doing at this time, that's my choice. There are no other choices. That's what I need to do. It's time to dial. So get on it, make your dials for whatever your goal is for the day, or for however long you go, however you set it up, that's what you do. And if you take that consistent approach, that's going to build the pipeline that Bruce talked about earlier, because that's the only way you're going to get there, is by being consistent.
And that's cool that you brought that up, because the one other, Shane, I'll get to you in just a second. The one thing that, you know, we often do sometimes, you know, we say, all right, you got to have a process, you got to make it work, do all these things. And, you know, you get your process in and it's working. And so you think, well, that's great. I'm gonna, you know, continue to work that. One of the oldest axioms in marketing is ABT. That stands for always be testing. And what that means is that, yeah, you've got a system that's working, but don't be afraid to try something different in your process along the way to tweak it. You've always, I'll call it ABT, always be tweaking. You know, things change, the market changes. You know, interest rates go up. You need to be maybe focusing on what's happening and what impact that has on the market. Interest rates go down, same thing. What impact is that having on the market? Big headlines in your local market about things happening. Something happens in that marketplace. It's, thank you, Scott. Yes, not always be working. That's very correct. I said tweaking.
Hey, Tim, when you're done, I'm just going to add one quick thing to it, but go ahead.
Okay. So the only thing I was getting at is that it's important to realize that a process is, and look at it scientifically, the scientific process says you follow through and, you know, you take steps, you look at them, you replicate those steps, you look at the results, but it's not just one thing. So if you've got a series that you're doing that is working well for you, take some of your leads and try something different along the way with them, even if it's only one of the steps, but track your results. Don't just shotgun it and go do it. You've got to look at your business like a business. Jim, go ahead and take it, and then I'm going to get to Shane.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, this last week or so, our entire sales team was either on maternity leave or out with the flu. So I actually got on the phone and started making calls. And I called a number of people during the week and over the weekend 5 or 6 times. And all of a sudden I noticed on Tuesday, everybody started calling me back. And the second lady said, well, we're snowed in today. I had nothing else to do. And I thought, I said, let me call all these people back that are in the Midwest, that are in the middle of a big snowstorm. Something that never would have occurred to me if a couple people hadn't told me that. So it's not only the process, but just think about it, be aware and open to what's going on, and you can use it to your advantage. That's the only thing I wanted to share. I thought that was interesting.
That's an extremely good point. It's be aware of what's going on around you. Be aware and put yourself in the place of the people that you're trying to contact. What's going on in their lives that you know about. I mean, you don't obviously know about everything that's happening to them, but you know the bigger picture. See what's going on in the local marketplace. If I hate to encourage you to find other things to distract you from, taking care of your business, but there are some social media things you might want to take a look at. One of them maybe being an app called Nextdoor. If any of you have looked at Nextdoor or used that, it's a great place to listen to people whine about, people stealing trash cans and doing bad stuff. But it's also something that kind of gives you the opportunity to have a little bit of finger on the pulse of what's going on very locally for you, because it tends to be very, very a tight little circle. I mean, mine is like 3 or 4 streets around where, this little crazy place that I live is, and it's probably no more than like 3 square miles. That's pretty intensive. And yeah, it's just interesting. It works out well. Hey, Shane, thanks for waiting, bud. What's cooking?
No problem. Hey, I'm curious, what have you guys found is the most effective lead source? Is it divorces, pre-probate, or probate? Is there one that's better than the other? What have you found?
Yes.
And the reason I ask is I'm brand new. I'm brand new.
They're all great. So
Okay.
I'm gonna answer that, but I'm gonna let everybody else do it as well. But I'll say one thing about that. One of the things that we have been looking at is, we started off, we were just a probate company. That's all we did. We didn't intend to do that. Our intent when we started the company and named it All the Leads, our intention was to become a company that basically furnished realtors and investors with all the lead types that would best work in their marketplace. And we took off so dramatically on probate that, for the first 8 or so years that we were in business, we didn't do anything but probate. We just got real good at doing that, and we grew our business around that, and we were happy to go do it. In the last year and a half, we've kind of exploded into, other marketplaces and doing other things. So the answer I'm going to give you is it depends on where your comfort zone is as much as it is the quality of the leads. The leads themselves are going to be pretty similar. We pride ourselves as a company. I'll brag a little bit. We do an extremely good job of making sure that the data we give you is the best you can get anywhere. And I'm not just saying that, for drill. We put everything we put through multiple steps to make sure that it's proofed out, that the data we give you is as accurate as we can get it. The phone numbers work when you call them. The addresses are correct when you mail them. The people that we give you are correct, and as much as possible, the valuation information, if you're getting that as part of your leads, it's always accurate. So we work really hard to do that. So any of those, or the answer to that is really kind of, what's your personality like? Where's your comfort zone? That would be my answer to that. And Bruce, I'll let you chime in and then let everybody else say the same thing. Go ahead, you're raising your hand, Shane. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, my mom passed away, and I was the representative of her estate. And I received a lot of phone calls from wholesalers, wholesale investors, and some of the offers they were making on my mom's house were absolutely ridiculous offers. And I thought to myself, the whole reason I'm getting involved in this is I kind of want to reach out to estate sales and try to make sure these folks understand that selling at wholesale may not be your best option. Because I'm sure it's no offense to wholesalers, but I'm sure sometimes you guys, I don't know if you have any in the call, but you probably get some really good deals from these probate deals. So I want to be able to be that representative and say, hey, listen, I just went through this with my mom. I want to just please don't accept any wholesale offers until we talk, because you might be leaving lots and lots of money on the table.
Well,
that's why I'm doing this.
Kind of validating what I said. It's where, you just said that's your comfort zone. You've got a personal level of experience. It allows you to be relatable and all of that. So from your standpoint, that might be where you gravitate towards. The only thing I would say about that is back to the ABT, always be testing. It applies to you as well. You probably should experiment with some of the other lead types as well. Have one that you focus on and, add the others as you go to get it, and have a process for each one of them and multiple pipelines. That way you're making yourself somewhat impervious to the economy and all the other stuff. I hate to put it this way because it's a hard thing to say, but the beauty of probate and the beauty of divorce is they're evergreen lead sources.
Mm-hmm.
People are always going to be passing away, and unfortunately, a lot of marriages end in divorce. And so those are always going to be things that are available to you. Same thing with pre-probate, obviously has the same thing. Late mortgage, same situation. Unfortunately, people bite off things they can't chew, and it happens. But Bruce, what would your answer be, bud?
Yeah, so I'll tackle the wholesale, like presenting against a wholesaler first. And we do have wholesalers probably on this call, definitely will be listening to this call. So you wholesalers, there is a way that you all can present your service against someone like Shane and win certain deals. If you guys are going head to head, we just have to recognize some people want full market value. Some people just want to be done and take whatever low price they can get just so they can walk away. It's a numbers game. And in many markets, not all markets, but many markets, it's going to skew toward the listing agent. There's some markets that skew toward the investor. But in most, it kind of skews the list to the listing agent side. Like in my market, most people want too much money to take a pretty low investor or wholesale offer. So with Shane, I would just have your way of pitching against an investor or wholesaler and know that you're going to win a lot as you refine that pitch, that presentation, that conversation approach. Those that are investors here or wholesalers here, there's going to be a way that you can build your conversation approach to win out over someone who's an agent. So there, especially if the person that you're communicating with is tired of dealing with the process. And I've had sellers as a listing agent. I've had sellers almost come to blows with me because I tried to reinforce that I could get them more money by listing the property. No, Bruce, I don't want to list the property. I want a cash offer. Well, you're probably going to lose $100,000 with a cash offer, right? Yes, I do. Are you sure? I'll take care of everything for you. I'm thinking of one seller in particular. I'll take care of everything for you. I'll make you $100,000 more. Bruce, I told you if you bring up listing one more time, I'm done. Make me a cash offer. I don't care if I lose the money. So on both sides of the spectrum, especially with probate, and I haven't tested it on the divorce side, so let me be clear. So with probate on both sides, you're going to have people that want to go with a cash offer, investor offer, wholesale offer. You're going to have people that want to list. It's up to you guys as individuals to become really good at being able to put a little bit of a spin on your conversation and presentation approach to be able to weight the scale a little bit. Not if you're an investor and a wholesaler, not fraud someone out of money. That's not what I'm saying, but weight the scale to be able to let someone see the benefit of going with your cash offer, as with Shane and myself, weight the scale so that people see a little bit more of a benefit of going with a real estate listing, a listing. Okay. Now, I just did a really quick Google search to Shane's first question. And this came from Google AI. I have no idea if it's accurate. I'm guessing it's probably pretty close, but it says that 61% of divorce cases end in the sale of a family home. Probate. And because I run Probate Mastery, I think everybody knows I'm going to be a little bit biased toward probate personally. Probate is about 35 to 40% of all probate cases end up in the sale of a home. So from a pure ratio standpoint, a divorce is going to have a higher percentage of the time that a sale happens. That may or may not mean that it's an easier deal to close. It depends on how good you are at the pitch and the marketing. I'm pretty good at the probate pitch and marketing, so I can get a really big percentage of the probate deals that are available. I'm not as good at the divorce pitch like some people are. So I'm not going to get as big of a percentage of the available 61% as I will with probate. So a lot of it's just going to depend, know your ratios and pick one or two and get really good at the marketing and the presentation.
And Bruce, before Steve jumps in, I just wanted to state something obvious. Sure, you want to try to slant your pitch your way, but to me, the ideal situation is being able to offer them all the options.
Yeah,
and let them pick. You know, that's then you're a good guy no matter what.
exactly.
Well, that's a great segue to Terrence. Terrence, I ask you to unmute. You type something into chat. I'd just like you to say that and let's talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, guys. So yes, I was an investor first. My goal is to invest more than it is to be an agent, but I got my license 2 years ago for the whole reason of just being more credible. Okay. So that I can walk in the door, and I have had more success recently, not with necessarily these leads, but just leads I've gotten in general, that if I start off presenting myself as an agent, a real estate agent, and almost as if even knowing that they may not want to go the real estate process, just in the due diligence in the conversations that I've had before, I always want to sound as if I'm trying to push them toward the market, and let them tell me that they do not want that process. They do not want to wait. They do not want to upgrade the home. They do not want to remodel. They do not want to do all these different things. And then I scale down by letting them know that I also do other things. And then I kind of scale back toward the novation process. And if they do not want to do the 2-month process, or even wait the 2 months it takes to probably go through a novation, then I finally end up with cash. And I've actually gotten more cash offers by actually starting at the top and scaling down.
I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a very, and it's just like there's 117 different ways to skin the cat. You know, you've got to do what you're comfortable with, what works for you, and please don't sick PETA on me. I don't like to skin cats.
I thought there was just more than one. I didn't know it was 117.
Actually, exactly 117. Send you my book. I have a book about it. But I mean, it's everything's different. It's what you're comfortable with. And in this case, it sounds like, you know, you kind of grew it organically. That's a great way to do that. And I think that's a good way to segue into it's what you're comfortable with. Steve, what were you going to say, bud?
I agree with what Bruce said, and also what Terrence said is we need to present options to folks. You don't know where it is. Look, I'm an investor. I got a buddy of mine who's a realtor. Their house is in great shape. I'll tell them, hey, you should list this house. You don't have an agent? I've got one. He's a great guy. You can come in, and he typically gets the listing, and it works well. But when you provide them with all the options, you allow them to make the most informed decision. And that's the one thing I always say to them. All I'm asking you is you give me an opportunity, present you with options for your consideration so you can make the most informed decision. And they realize you're not pressuring them into anything. You're just letting them know. And for many, they only think the only way you can sell a house is through a realtor and the MLS. Yeah, it's a way, and it's a good way. And sure, they'll make more money, but it's up to them. What's in the best interest of the estate? I've had lawyers call me. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'm trying to help your client. I'm trying to make sure that their best interests are being taken care of. You know, I don't want them doing anything without your knowledge. And I explain where I'm coming from and presenting them options. Then they're like, oh, okay, I'm good with that. You know, and I said, before they make a decision, they're going to check in with you to make sure you understand what's going on. And that seems to work well.
That's awesome, man. That's
Steve,
very good. And the other, I want to, it's a great segue to what Jim Stewart, Jim, say what you said there, bud. Oop, you went away. Unmute again, please, sir. There you go.
Got it. All right. Yes. So I'm an investor, and I'm teamed up with a local agent who helps me in the acquisition process and also handles all of my listings. If another agent brings me a listing, I give them, or brings me a deal, I give them the listing, and my guy's okay with that. But the approach that really works for us is that no matter who gets the lead, I'm making an appointment. And when we're there to do the walkthrough, I invite my agent to come with me, because whether I'm going to make an offer as an investment property, or if we get there and, it's obvious that this property needs to be sold at retail, or maybe it just needs to be cleaned out, we can be a resource. And like Steve was just talking about, if we're coming across as the local professional in our market that is looking out for their best interest, it's easy to build that trust right up front when we're showing up not to steal the property from them and get a real hardball offer, but we can be fair and we can, treat people the way we would want our family to be treated as well.
That last part's critical. You put yourself in the position of the person that you're talking to. Certainly, that's always important to do that without question. Great feedback there, bud. Scott, I'm gonna reluctantly let you speak, even though you insulted me about my twerking ability, but go ahead.
No, not about your ability. You just said always be tweaking. And I said, well, you could try twerking. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, that point about bringing two people, like an investor and yourself. I'm an agent. Obviously, I have different investors, but I partnered with an investor. Now, this doesn't have to do with probate, but it's the same concept. There were properties that wanted cash offers, and he was generating those leads, and we went out together. That was an opportunity for him to buy an investment property with cash. But I also brought a national database of investors that I could get him a cash offer within 48 hours. But the beauty is I went out there, and that was the first thing that they had requested, a cash offer, thinking they're going to get retail, thinking they're going to get the most amount of money off market. And we all know that that's not the case. They're going to be lower. So when you get to the house and you analyze it and you're saying, and I've heard this today with everybody, it's like, you're leaving 100,000 on the table by getting a cash offer. Sure, I can bring you one in 48 hours and make it very convenient. And we kind of explain how the continuum is. It's more convenient with a cash offer. It's the most convenient, least amount of money. Listing as is a little more inconvenient, but you're going to get more money. Or I can even bring in a full rehab project and give them more money, but it's the most inconvenient, because a lot of times if there's a lot of work that needs to be done, they need to rehab or do whatever, they need to leave. But I've done it. I did 4 deals with this one investor. 2 of them didn't come out to be cash offers, but I listed the property. One of them, we did a concierge project of about 22 grand, and I got 30 grand over list. The last one was an off-market deal we did secure, and then I completely rehabbed it and flipped it. So, 4 deals with one investor coming in with a cash offer, but actually listing almost every property, because that was what's going to make the seller the most amount of money. So having those in your pocket when you come out there, you have all the options they're looking for. And if they say, well, you can do them all, let's go with you. It works like a charm.
Yeah, you look like a superstar. You're bringing the team,
Hey,
You're
Tim,
a whole bunch of
I just
folks.
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, finish, Tim.
I'm done.
Oh, I can't figure out how to raise my hand. It's not on my screen, so I'll just interrupt you guys.
Wave, Jim.
I'll wave. Circle back around to how this discussion started, which lead type is the best. I would submit that, if you aren't sure, we can put some kind of I think they call it a poo-poo platter in the Asian restaurants, where you put together a little, try a little bit of each. But I'm looking at my friend down here, one of our newest subscribers, Jamie Nummer, and I had a good conversation with Jamie. Jamie is a mortgage broker and a realtor. So he felt like his best expertise would be to people that are behind on their mortgage, because he could offer to refi. And if that doesn't work out, he can list the property. He's also an investor. So I would just say, if you really are torn between the 3, ask yourself, where do you provide the most value? What do you think you would be? And maybe start with that one And if you aren't sure, let us know. We'll put together, some kind of a sampling of all three. That's the only thing I wanted to add.
That's great. Alex, you got your hand up there, buddy. Unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. I'm actually a similar case. I'm actually a real estate and mortgage broker myself, and the reason that I want to do probates, divorce cases, and I try those, calling to people that behind a mortgage to offer my services. If it's possible to do a refi for divorce cases, if they want to keep the property, to do a refi cash out. One party gets their money, another party get to keep the property. Similar situation with the probates. Let's say if it's a multiple people that inherited the property, one party wants to keep the property, another wants to get their money. I want to offer the similar services. And with the people missing the mortgage payments for some reason, I try calling them. The thing is, once they hear a word mortgage or real estate, and in their mind they know they're behind their payments, and they get a call from, or you work for the bank, trying to explain, even though I'm not trying to come out like hot, they still kind of very, very defensive. So I'm not sure how to break into their safe zone.
Alex, can I ask you real quick? Were you calling our leads, or were you calling people in foreclosure?
No, not your leads.
Okay, yeah, that might be the difference. Once they go into foreclosure, they get inundated. We're giving you people that are just behind on their payments, but they're not in list pendants yet. So that might be somebody else may have a different answer. Go ahead.
So Alex, I call a lot of people in distress, and the number one thing you have to do is go in softly, and you have to bring something that they identify with. So I lost, unfortunately, my kids experienced all the pain. I lost 7 homes in 2010, right? So I say, I don't know, but per public records, it kind of looks like you're behind on your mortgage. I'm stuttering, right? And I lost 7 homes, and I would love to help you save your home, keep your home, and I'm not trying to make a sale. And I am generally trying to help them save their house, right? If I knew everything I knew now, right, in 2010, I'd have all those houses, right? But you got to find some way to empathize with them, whatever it is. And so that's what I would do. And then the other things I'd say is you should use all the leads. I mean, they are all good. The main reason why I stuck with them in the beginning was because I try to assemble information myself. There's a bunch of different data sources, but I'd say 80% of everything that I get from them is great, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would do. But if you're going to try to approach this, you got to find some way to empathize with them and get to their level or below their level.
Well, I'm sure I'm not going to be able to tell them that I had a house in 2010 because I was 10 years old.
but that's not the point, right? You got to find a soft way to bring it up to them, right? Whatever it is.
All right.
I think the thing I want to add as well is that when you're getting on the phone initially, you don't want to assume any situation. We might have as much information in front of us that we can. We could spend hours Googling and searching. The end of the day, you're going to call, you really don't know what's going on. And more importantly, you don't know where you're catching them. They could be getting on a bus, they could be getting in the car, they could be around their kids screaming. So we always want to take a moment and pause and say, I guess we call it like a pattern interrupt. Say, I don't even know if this is relevant to you. So, forgive me, or ask for permission before you go on about asking the questions, because then it takes them off the defense.
Mm-hmm.
You made a good point that it's often important to realize, in addition to what you just said, maybe they're getting on a bus, catch a plane, whatever. It may also mean that they just opened their mail for the day, and they're, dunning notices in there from 16 different people trying to collect bills from them, and all of that, and you're hitting them at exactly the right time. It's like, I got to do something with this. Maybe it's time to have that conversation. So you never know what's on the other end, and you've got to get extremely good at, and I won't just say asking questions, it's having conversations. You know, Bill's talked about, you know, his experience, and two, three other people talked about the experience they had with losing a loved one and, you know, having to deal with all of that. And it's just a conversation. You know, if you approach it with an objective in mind, and that is, do you have a house? Are you going to sell it? Do you have a house? Can I list it? That's a bad way to start that conversation. That happens naturally. You want to start that conversation with something that allows you to literally continue to engage in the conversation with them. Folks, I hate to cut this off. It's been a great hour, but we try to be really, really careful with your time and make sure that we don't, you know, just go on and on with this. And I appreciate all of your feedback this time. It's been really, really good. Jimmy, I'm going to let you send us to the barn there, buddy.
All right, everybody, get in your tractor and head for the barn. It's the cows are coming home, isn't that an old expression? I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Bruce, stop laughing. You're cracking me up. We'll particularly thank Tim, Bill, Bruce, Aline, Steve, Shane, Terrace, Jim, Scott, and Alex for actively participating. And I want to challenge each of you, take one idea, one thought that inspired you on this call. Go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Great call, everybody. Thanks. See you same time next week.